Hello, I'm Michael Marsh. Welcome to the program dedicated to reestablishing constitutional government, both in Oregon and in the United States. Now, the Constitution of the United States is still on the books. It's still there. And every elected official going to Washington, Congress, U.S. Senate will take an oath to uphold it. Many are not. And the same thing here in Oregon. We still have it. And that's why I do this program. A lot of times I'll have in guests that are running for office, so you can find out for yourself if they're going to uphold the Constitution and do what they're supposed to do or not. And my guest today is Mark Callahan, who is the U.S. Senate candidate for United States Senate, running against Ron Wyden. Now, Mark, Hillary is corrupt.
Agreed.
And Trump is a bit of a jerk. And both of them have a lot of negatives. So how do you get people to come out and vote, especially the Republicans, because they're pretty divided?
Well, I think that's going to be the trick here in about a week at the convention. As you may know, I was part of the Cruz campaign when Ted Cruz was running for president. I was the Oregon co-chair for that campaign. My campaign manager, Narlena Duke, was actually really involved in the Cruz campaign, not just here in Oregon, but she was going statewide, and that's actually how I met her, actually on the campaign trail. For Ted Cruz, I went down to Nevada, and she was coordinating stuff for the Nevada caucuses. And she did such a great job on that campaign in terms of organizing the vote, getting out the grassroots voters. I decided to hire her as my campaign manager, so she's a great campaign manager. And unfortunately, as Ted Cruz is no longer suspended his campaign early in May, and so we didn't really have much to do after that. But that is going to be the balance we got to find here. I'm definitely not voting for Hillary. She's an unindicted criminal, in my opinion, and she doesn't deserve to be president.
Well, I watched Comey's little speech. I believed right up until the end that he was going to recommend prosecution, because that was what he was saying. He laid it out.
Yeah.
And then, that was a shock. Not recommended.
Well, I kind of have to think about that. The day before, what was it? Bill Clinton met with Loretta Lynch on some sort of private plane in Phoenix or something like that. So I'm thinking, someone's wheels were being greased here, or some sort of corruption was going on. They may claim they were only talking about their grandkids or whatever, but yeah, I don't believe that.
No.
I'm not that gullible, and the American people aren't that gullible either. We know exactly what was going on. It's called corruption, and Bill Clinton was basically. He's basically trying to say, well, don't do anything to his wife who's running for president, and it's straight up corruption. It's like the other side isn't hiding their corruption anymore.
No.
They're slapping us in the face with it, and it's wrong. It's evil, and it's wrong, and it's dishonorable, definitely. So I won't vote for that woman. As I said, she's an unindicted criminal, and she doesn't deserve to be president with all the bad stuff that she's done over the years, both when her husband was president and even since then. She left our guys behind in Benghazi. That's 4 Americans that died on her watch. And all she says is, what difference does it make? Yeah, well, it does make a difference when 4 Americans die on your watch and you won't even be accountable for it,
And she lied about
exactly.
why.
Exactly.
So your opponent, Ron Wyden.
Yep.
I'm assuming there's going to be quite a few differences between you and him.
Well, yeah, he supports Planned Parenthood, who kills babies. So I'm pro-life myself, and I believe life begins at conception. But yeah, Ron Wyden is a huge supporter of other liberal causes like, killing babies. So I support. I'll probably get an endorsement by Oregon Right to Life here pretty soon. But I'm pro-life. As said, life begins at conception. He's not. And he's definitely for a lot of liberal, far left-wing liberal causes that are just too far left, and he's too far disconnected from those here in Oregon. So Oregon is actually a red state with a couple of blue islands, in my opinion. And
Multnomah County.
well, yeah, I live in Multnomah County. I do feel kind of outnumbered, but we do have a plan and strategy for that too. I mean, we're going to focus on fiscal issues as opposed to social issues, because I think the other side is going to shoot us down on social issues every day a week and twice on Sunday. But so we focus on fiscal issues like jobs and the economy and balanced budget amendment.
That's one of the things I wanted to ask you about. Is I know Ron Wyden supports all these globalist trade movements like NAFTA and Trans-Pacific
Partnership. Yeah, he voted for the Fast Track Authority.
Yeah.
And that's actually frustrated and angered a lot of people on his own side, because I mean that's going to ship jobs overseas. Yeah. And so we need American jobs here, right now, here. We don't need our jobs going overseas. So I disagree with him on the Fast Track Authority that he supported and voted on or voted in favor of, because as I said, Americans need jobs, and we need to get our economy strong and going, and we need to make America first, you know. So.
And he's also a longtime supporter of taking away our guns.
Yep. Oh yeah. I tell you, I went back to D.C. a couple weeks ago, and I met with the acronym groups back there: NRSC, NRA, ACU, and NFIB. And when I met with NRA, I got their highest rating for someone that's been not elected before, an AQ rating. So I have AQ rating with NRA, and they gave me about 7 pages of his voting record, and every single page except for like the first few votes when he first got elected back in the 80s, everything since then has basically been against the NRA. Yeah. And basically he's not voting for our sovereignty. He's voting against our sovereignty. He's voting against our Second Amendment rights. I actually have proof that he voted against our Second Amendment rights. My team and I did some research, and back in March of 2013, Ron Wyden voted to give our gun rights over to the UN. He voted, basically what it was is Senate Amendment 139, and it basically read, or it did read, to uphold Second Amendment rights and prevent the United States from entering into the United Nations Arms Trade Treaty. So he voted against that. So he voted against our Second Amendment rights. And that's not someone we should have here in Oregon or even the United States.
Yeah.
Of actually representing us, and actually in the upper echelons of government representing us. If he's going to vote against our Second Amendment rights, I love guns myself. I mean, I'm for our gun rights. I mean, I believe shall not be infringed means shall not be infringed, and so you shouldn't be voting against our Second Amendment rights like my opponent did. And as I said, he's a 35-year career politician, New Yorker, and the Oregonian actually did us a huge favor a few weeks back, where they reported on his $7.5 million townhome in New York City with 5 marble fireplaces and some sort of elaborate rooftop deck. I can tell you, Michael, I'm living in East Portland myself for about $1,000 a month in a 2-bedroom apartment. I'm not living in New York City with a $7.5 million townhome with 5 marble fireplaces, you know. I mean, come on, this guy's just completely out of touch. So.
Yeah. Now, the reason from what I understand, he went into politics poor.
Well, I don't know. I mean, he got into politics when I was 4 years old. Yeah. So I'm 39 years old myself, and he's been in there for 35 years. He's got to go. So
yeah, I agree. Now, how do you overcome? Okay, he very seldom even does advertisements. You know, he's got such a big base. Mm-hmm. But I've noticed that, you know, like there's close to 20% of the Democrats, they could be in the Constitution Party. Mm-hmm. They're that conservative.
Yep.
But they vote that way on issues. Mm-hmm. But they cancel their own votes by voting for Democrats.
Yeah, yeah.
How do you, you know?
Well, as I said, I think there's a lot of actually people on his own side that are upset with him the way he's been voting. They're really upset with him on that Trans-Pacific Partnership or Fast Track Authority vote that he supported. And so, and then, as you know, Bernie won Oregon,
Yeah.
and Ron Wyden endorsed Hillary, and he's a superdelegate, which is highly undemocratic, which is like a contradiction in terms of Democrat Party is basically being undemocratic by having these superdelegates. You know, Republicans don't have superdelegates.
No.
You know, it's just the Democrats that have these superdelegates, which is highly undemocratic, right? And so Ron Wyden endorsed that unindicted criminal Hillary. Well, that's upset the Bernie supporters we've actually talked to. That's upset the Bernie supporters. So Bernie won Oregon, so we're hoping to get some of those Bernie supporters. I know it's like completely outside the box. And I mean, the Bernie supporters are, on social issues, they're ideologically different than I am. I know this. But if we can focus on fiscal issues and we can get that 20% of the Democrats from the anti-Wyden vote, I think we're going to be golden. We're going to have it in the bag. Plus, we get about 5 or 10% of the independents, non-affiliates, too. So that'll put us over the line.
And, okay, so I know Ron Wyden, you know, we talked about it a little earlier, he supports the UN. Hillary is part of that. Britain did us a favor. Hopefully it'll translate. You know, they exited the EU.
You're talking about Brexit? Yeah.
Yeah, Brexit,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
which is, I cheered.
Yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah.
Gave us hope. But we also are enmeshed in a lot of things like you mentioned the UN.
Yep.
We're losing our sovereignty and slowly to them.
Yep.
In fact, when before going into Iraq, you know, whether that was the right thing to do or wrong thing to do, it was done, but they went and got permission from the UN.
Mm.
Should we be involved in all these international movements which are really basically aimed at one world government?
I disagree with one world government myself. I mean, I believe in national sovereignty. I think that we, as I said, we should be putting America first here. I mean, we have our own homeless, we have our own veterans that aren't being taken care of. Yet we're spending all of our money overseas and putting all our money into these other countries, you know, that hate us. And so, I mean, I'm just being direct and not sugarcoating here, but yeah, they hate us. And so we should act. If the vote ever came to it, I'd actually put something forward. We need to get out of the UN. I think we should get out of the UN personally, because it is taking away our sovereignty. You know, the UN is basically run from overseas, and we don't need another. About 240 years ago, we threw off a government from overseas, and we need to. That's who we are as Americans. We want local government. I believe in local control and local government, and not some far-off organization, even 3,000 miles away, ruling and running our lives. That's not what government was designed to be here in the United States. Our government was designed to be a constitutional republic, as you know. Yeah. And not a government that dictates, mandates, and overregulates our lives. Our country was based upon freedom. I have a couple daughters myself. You know, I do this for them, and I've accepted the Lord into my heart as my Lord and Savior. I do it for Him because I believe this is the path that He has lined out for me. But in terms of freedom, I want freedom for my daughters when they grow up. That's why I'm doing this. That's what motivates and drives me to get up every day and go to work, then do campaign events on the nights and weekends and do parades and stuff like that. You know, I love parades, handing out candy and stuff like that. You know, they're very, very energizing. But I digress. Basically, I know what I'm doing. I know why I'm doing it, and I'm not going to stop. I'm not the type of person to give up. I'm a fighter, and I love our country so much that I'm willing to risk my life, my fortune, my sacred honor to defend it and defend the freedom that was founded on. And the UN represents something contrary to that. It represents one world government, as you stated. And it doesn't represent freedom. It basically represents top-down control, which is not what the United States and not what America is about. So.
Okay, now, one of the hot issues, especially with Trump and Hillary, immigration.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in fact, when her and Bernie were doing their love fest today, they talked about doing the immigration reform. Okay, where do you stand on the immigration problem?
Well, as many politicians out there have stated before, you know, we need to secure the border, but that's kind of a nebulous term. So,
Yeah.
I mean, we need to actually secure the border and actually do what it takes to secure the border, not just get out there and talk and blow a bunch of hot air, you know, but we actually need to do it. We need to build the wall. I agree with that. We need to start enforcing our laws. For one, I'm against sanctuary cities. Sanctuary cities are basically just providing a magnet for people to come across the border and stay here. We don't need people breaking our laws. I mean, if they're going to be here, they need to be here legally, not illegally. And sanctuary cities, as well as providing in-state tuition for illegals and these other magnets and the employers that hire illegals and stuff like that, that just provide magnets for law breaking. And so we need to take away the magnets, basically. And I believe in legal immigration in a regulated manner. We don't need a bunch of people flooding into the U.S. because they're going to take American jobs, just like illegals take American jobs, and they break our laws. So I think my stance on immigration is this. Basically, I was on the Oregonians for Immigration Reform Board. I am on the board. Yeah. And I actually helped them fight against Measure 88. Measure 88, you know, would have given driver's licenses to illegals. And so I fought against that. OFER sent Oregonians for Immigration Reform, sent me throughout Oregon. And I basically got up there and I fought against Measure 88, and it went down in flames in 35 of the 36 counties by 66% or more. And so it was actually a lot of Oregonians, not just the Republican side, agreed with enforcing immigration law. So.
Plus, they made it easier for illegal aliens to get driver's license than it would have been than it is for an American citizen.
Fortunately, the 88 didn't pass, and if it would have, it would have basically contributed to the magnets that are drawing illegals here in the first place. So.
Okay, now after since 9/11, there's been a lot of bills passed, Patriot Act, a lot of bureaucracies have been created. TSA, the Homeland Department of Homeland Security.
Oh yeah.
The spying on all Americans. Do you think we need all these bills, or is it time to start looking at what works and what doesn't, and maybe cut back some of it?
I think we need to cut back some of it, honestly. I mean, I remember the old Ben Franklin quote, and basically, if you trade freedom for security, you'll have neither. So what we need to do is we need to go in there with a mindset in our government on the basis that we're going to have freedom. That's the goal. We're going to have freedom. We can't have freedom if we have government over regulation. We can't have freedom if we have the government spying on American citizens. We can't have freedom if they're violating Fourth Amendment rights in the name of security. Yeah. I believe in the Fourth Amendment myself. I mean, I carry two things with me. I carry my Constitution, which is a little bit worn, but this is my original. The cover's kind of come off it, but I still review it frequently. And I carry a copy of the New Testament, my Holy Bible, with me as well. So I believe in the Lord and I believe in the Constitution. And when I get in there and I get sworn in next January, I'm going to go in there with a mindset that if it doesn't represent freedom and it doesn't follow the Constitution, I'm going to vote no on it. You know, it's just that simple. I try to break things down to be very simple. You know, I know we got these 2,000-page bills, you know, like that Wyden Care, or what I refer to as Wyden Care or Obamacare or whatever they call it now. I just call it tyranny. But I mean, basically it passed in the middle of the night, you know, and now it's spawned like thousands more pages of regulations. That's not freedom right there. No, I support the full repeal of Obamacare, or my team calls Wyden Care because he voted for it. But in terms of what you were talking about, our government spying, I'm against our government spionage. As I said, it violates the Fourth Amendment. The Constitution actually is supposed to rein in the government. And right now, our government is not reining in. Our government is out of control. They're trying to control our lives, all in the name of security, and it's not based upon freedom. So.
No. One of the things, and this came later, I think 2012, the Military Defense Act of, reauthorization.
Yep. The AUM or the NDAA. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm assuming you'll try to repeal that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I before I vote on a bill, I'm definitely going to read the whole thing because I know there's a lot of senators and representatives and other people in government that get in there. They don't read the bills, and so I'm going to read every single bill before I vote on it, and I'm going to vote my conscience. If it doesn't represent freedom, and if it violates the Constitution, and it doesn't represent freedom, I'm going to vote no on it. So.
And that does bring up another issue. These 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 page laws. Okay, nobody's really reading them.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't read them, but I would vote no just on general principle.
Yeah, just on general principle. Yeah, you can't
If
understand.
there's 4,000 pages, there's a reason they have.
Trying to confuse people, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a lawyer. I don't claim to be a lawyer. I'm an IT guy by trade. I kind of like things simple, is what I like. So I mean, what I do for a living is I troubleshoot and I problem solve computer problems, and I've been doing that for about 16 years. So I like things simple. I like things to be able to be explainable to who I'm working with. My customer, internal customers are people that I work with, companies that I work with, and stuff like this. So I want it simple so I can explain it to the person I'm working with to solve their problem. Well, as I said, I'm not a lawyer. I'm an IT guy. I'm a troubleshooter. I'm a problem solver. And that kind of, I think, suits me best to be able to solve problems and troubleshoot problems when I get back there in a limited government format. The key is limited government format because that's what our country was founded upon, limited government. So.
That's another difference between you and Ron Wyden. He is an attorney.
Yeah.
And personally, I think there are too many attorneys in
Oh yeah, we need an IT guy in there, So I mean, obviously we have a Cover Oregon here locally or something like that. $302 million wasted on a website that didn't work, And I mean, personally, I'd like to see that Obamacare or WidenCare server crash and burn. But I mean, in addition to the Cover Oregon, because it's not working, And now we got a lawsuit by Oracle or State of Oregon suing Oracle. We shouldn't have been involved in that in the first place and wasting money on that in the first place. But that's just local issues. But I mean, at the federal level, which I'm running at, we shouldn't be wasting taxpayer money on things like, I think a few years back it was shrimp on treadmills or robotic squirrels or something like that, I mean, and then we got these boondoggle things, as I said, like Obamacare or WidenCare. We even have the wind farms, in the gorge. I travel up and down the gorge, and the other side will claim, oh yeah, wind farms, ooh, those are nice. They have nice feel-good measures, to save energy. Well, they don't tell you it kills birds, and it's killing thousands of bald eagles. The very symbol of our freedom, very symbol of our country, it's killing them, these wind farms. So it basically murders the birds, but they won't tell you about that. You won't hear about that, so.
So, on energy and a developed nation does run on energy.
Mm-hmm.
What would you do? Do you have any plans for energy bills?
Well, we've been talking about coming out with. I know we've been in talks. My team and I have been in talks with the liquefied natural gas folks. That seems like a good energy source right there. I disagree with the other side in terms of the oil trains and coal trains. I'm actually supportive of trains. I mean, the other side will basically put out the emotional argument out there. Oh, it's going to crash and burn. We'll be in the blast zone. Yeah, right. Whatever. So I mean, I'm thinking. They're exaggerating this stuff, and I mean, we can improve the safety of the trains, the oil trains and the coal trains, and I just don't listen to the emotional argument out there in terms of people exaggerating and outright lying about the industry and the dangers of it, and how often it happens and stuff like that. But I went to there was a Mosher town hall in Mosher, Oregon, right after the oil train thing happened, and Union Pacific took responsibility and accountability for what happened, and they got it cleaned up, and they said this is our plan going forward, and it was an excellent plan. So,
okay, we've got about 3.5 minutes left.
All right.
So if there's something you haven't gotten out that you need to get out, now's the time to do it.
Well, give people my contact information. My website is callahanfororegon.com. That's www.callahanfororegon.com. CALLAHANFOROREGON.com. My Facebook page is just Facebook and Callahan for Oregon, CALLAHANFOROREGON.com, or not .com at the end of Facebook, but it kind of rolls off the tongue once in a while. And then my Twitter handle, I guess on Twitter, I've been doing the social media thing, is the @ and then Callahan and then the number 4 in the word Oregon, so CALLAHAN, the number 4, and then OREGON.com. We've been doing a lot of parades. I'm going to be going to the RNC convention in Cleveland this coming week. And
hope you survive it.
yeah, it's going to be an interesting watch. So I'm going as a guest. My campaign manager is going to be setting up a bunch of meetings for me. We could always use a lot of help and a lot of support. I mean, I know that we need someone in there in the Senate that has honor and integrity and character. I'm an Eagle Scout myself, but we also need support in terms of financial support to buy radio ads, to buy campaign signs. So I know I'm kind of the extreme underdog here in terms of finances compared to my opponent, but basically I would like to ask formally for support financially, and so I can buy the radio ads, so I can buy the campaign signs and continue to travel the roads of Oregon and do these parades and hand out candy and stuff like that. We got about 100 pounds of candy at the Hillsborough Parade for 4th of July, but yeah, we definitely need some financial support in terms of being able to continue to go and do that. But I just need a lot of prayers, a lot of support, and a lot of help. We need a lot of volunteers too. So
Yeah. So Oregon being such a long time blue state and the numbers being what they are you getting help from the Republican Party? Both state and local.
well,
and
we're
national.
getting some help. I mean, the national party hasn't really kicked in yet, but I know they've been kind of focused on the upcoming convention.
Yeah.
The local parties, I've been getting a lot of help with from local county parties. They've been asking for materials, and I've been going to the state fair or the county fairs and stuff like that. I've been going to this weekend. I'm headed over to Baker for the Baker Miners Jubilee. Right before I fly out to Cleveland overnight, you know. But yeah, we've been getting a lot of help from the local counties. Not so much from the state party yet, although I have talked to the state party chairman, Beryl Currier, about possibly doing some polling or other things. But that'll all come. You know, I said the Lord has a plan for me, and I believe I put my faith in Him, and He's going to guide me on this path, and we're going to win this thing in November. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I certainly hope so.
Yep.
Okay. I guess we're done.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you, Michael. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mark.
And I thank you for having me on your show. So.